It was midnight when she opened the wardrobe. Not because she had somewhere to go and not because someone had invited her. She opened it because the room was too quiet, and the silence was starting to feel like a punishment. The city outside, her window was still awake. Cars moved like slow waves under streetlights. Somewhere, people were laughing. Somewhere, music was playing. But inside her room, it was only her tired eyes, her messy hair, her phone in her hand, and that heavy feeling in her chest that refused to leave. She stood in front of the mirror like she was meeting herself after a long time. And honestly, she did not like what she saw. Not because she looked bad, but because she looked defeated. Like someone who had been waiting for love, waiting for attention, waiting for an apology, and got nothing in return. Then her eyes landed on it. The red dress, bold, beautiful, almost arrogant in the way it hung there, as if it had no idea what pain was. She had bought it months ago on a day when she still believed things could change. A day when she still believed she could be the main character in her own life. She remembered standing in that shop, turning in front of the mirror, thinking, "One day I'll wear this, when I feel confident." But that day never came, because confidence doesn't always appear on its own. Sometimes life steals it slowly, one disappointment at a time. Sometimes you stop wearing bold colors, not because you don't like them, but because you don't want people to look at you long enough to see the sadness. Tonight was different. Tonight she didn't want to hide, not anymore. She pulled the dress out gently like it was something alive. The fabric felt smooth under her fingers, cold at first, then warm. She stared at it for a long moment, and in that moment, memories came rushing back. The old version of her. The girl who laughed loudly, the girl who posted pictures without overthinking, the girl who walked into rooms without fear, the girl who believed she deserved love without begging for it. She swallowed, feeling her throat tighten. Then she whispered to herself, almost like a promise, "Not my life, but this pain, this waiting, this weak version of me." And then, without giving herself time to overthink, she changed into the dress. When she zipped it up, something shifted. Inside her posture straightened, her shoulders lifted. Her face looked sharper not because she suddenly became happy, but because she was tired of being small. She tied her hair back, she put on simple earrings, a thin line of eyeliner, a soft lipstick. She wasn't trying to impress anyone, she was trying to remind herself that she still existed. She looked at the mirror again, and for the first time in months, she didn't feel invisible. The red dress didn't fix her heart, but it gave her a feeling she hadn't felt in a long time. Power. Not loud power. Just quiet confidence, the kind that says, "I've been hurt, but I'm still here." She grabbed her coat and stepped. Outside, the air was cold, but it felt clean, like it was washing her face. The street was calm, a little empty, the kind of calm you only see after midnight. Streetlights painted golden circles on the road. She walked slowly, heels clicking softly, her breath visible in the air. And as she walked, she realized something painful. She had been staying inside for too long. Not just inside her room, but inside her fear of being judged, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. She kept walking anyway, because sometimes courage is not a feeling. It is movement. She ended up near a small cafe that stayed open late. It was one of those quiet places where the lights are warm and the music is low, like the world is trying to comfort you. She hesitated at the door for a second, then entered. The smell of coffee and baked bread hit her like an old memory. She chose a corner seat near the window. She placed her phone on the table. And for a moment she wanted to check if anyone had texted. She wanted to see if he had messaged, if he had called, if he had missed her, but she stopped herself. She didn't want to ruin the night by expecting something that never came. So she simply sat there, watching the world outside. And slowly, her breathing became lighter. A few minutes later, the bell on the cafe door rang again. Someone walked in. She didn't look up immediately. She didn't care. She didn't want attention. She just wanted peace. But when the person walked past her table, she saw him in her peripheral vision, tall, Simple clothes, tired eyes, the kind of person who looked like life had been heavy too. He ordered coffee, then turned and noticed her. Not in a rude way. Not like someone staring, just a quick glance. Then his eyes returned to her dress for a second, then back to her face. And strangely, he smiled, a soft, respectful smile. Not the kind that says, I want you, but the kind that says, I see you. He sat 2 tables away, quiet, alone, and for a while, nothing happened. The cafe music played, cups clinked. Outside, the city kept moving, but she felt something shift again. Not in her body, inside her heart, because she realized she had forgotten what it felt like to simply exist in public without fear, to sit in a place without trying to look perfect, without trying to prove anything. She was just there. Then something unexpected happened. Her phone vibrated. A message. And she already knew who it was before she even looked, because her heart reacted first, like it always did. She opened the message. One line. Where are you? That was it. No apology. No care, no explanation, just control, just possession. Like she belonged to someone who never valued her. Her stomach tightened. She stared at the words and felt the familiar wave rising anger. Sadness, loneliness, the old urge to reply quickly and prove she mattered, but she didn't. She just stared at that message. Then slowly locked her phone and placed it face down. On the table, she took a deep breath. She looked outside the window again, and in that moment she realized the red dress was not just a dress tonight. It was a decision, a boundary, a new chapter. She wasn't wearing it to be desired. She was wearing it to stop begging. As she sat there, the man from the other table stood up with his coffee cup. He walked toward the counter, then stopped near her table, like he was unsure. He didn't want to disturb her. But then he spoke, in a calm voice. Sorry, I just wanted to say something. She looked up slightly surprised. He continued, That dress? It suits you, not because it's red, but because you look like someone who's trying to come back to herself? His words hit her like a warm slap. Her eyes softened. She almost laughed, but it came out as a quiet breath. Is it that obvious? She asked. He smiled gently. Only to someone who knows what it feels like to disappear. For the first time in a long time, she felt understood without explaining her pain. They spoke for a few minutes, nothing deep, nothing dramatic, just simple words. He didn't ask her for her number. He didn't flirt in a dirty way. He didn't make her feel like an object. He treated her like a human being, like a person. And somehow, that was more attractive than any sweet lie she had ever heard. When he finally left, he nodded respectfully and said, I hope you keep choosing yourself. Then he walked out into the night. She watched him go, her heart strangely calm, because she realized the most important thing wasn't meeting him. The most important thing was what his presence reflected back to her, the truth that she still had value, even without chasing anyone. Even without being chosen by the wrong person. She sat there for a few more minutes, then stood up. She wore her coat. She stepped outside again. The cold air hit her cheeks, but she didn't feel weak. She felt awake. She walked slowly under the streetlights, the red dress hidden under her coat but still burning like a small fire inside her. Her phone vibrated again, but she didn't check. She didn't need to, because tonight was not about him. Tonight was about her. When she reached home, she didn't throw the dress off like a mistake. She hung it back carefully, neatly, like a trophy. She stared at it for a moment and smiled just a little, because she finally understood something. Being bold doesn't always mean being loud. Sometimes bold means leaving what hurts you. Sometimes bold means not replying. Sometimes bold means walking out at midnight, not to impress the world, but to remind yourself that you still deserve a life that feels warm. And that night, in the quiet of her room, she didn't feel empty anymore. She felt present, like she had returned, like she was no longer waiting for someone to save her, because she had finally done it herself.